Hi, I'm MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 23 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 23 of City Hunter, titled Buzz 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 Go the Killer Bees, A Bride Fallen from the Sky.
Can I just apologize really quickly on behalf of my nose, at least, because you're thankfully not going to hear this because Josh is a great editor.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for your good hard work, Josh, but I think you will be able to notice that my nose is a little stuffy, but if I ever have to stop and blow my nose, thankfully, you'll never know. Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome.
But I apologize for the stuffiness of the sound of my voice, so.
It's not like my nose isn't stuffy either because we live in the same house. I'm just further along with it than you are.
I guess so. I otherwise am feeling much better because my entire face felt like brick the other day, but now that feels much better. I just can't breathe. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
I just need to remind you to breathe real quick. Do that for me? Good.
Okay, great.
Just do that a couple more times and we'll be set. That's too much.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, before we jump into the actual show, there actually are some other cool things happening within City Hunter this past week.
Yeah, this week, the beginning of April, as you guys are probably hearing this because that's when we're going to load it, the beginning of April, there are a lot of anniversaries that line up with important events in City Hunter, specifically the 35th anniversary this year.
Yeah, so earlier this past week was the 35th anniversary of the anime. That was April 6th.
Yes.
So that was real recent. 35, yeah, alright. Everybody was real excited about that.
And then 2 days later is the anniversary of TM Network releasing Get Wild.
Right, so that was on the 8th, which I thought was weird that the two didn't come out at like the same time, but I guess that's just because an album release is different from...
Or a single release,
Or a
yeah.
single is different from, oh, it showed up in this show, and now you know it's out.
And you're saying there was some sort of trending thing for Get Wild?
Yeah, they've got some sort of 35th anniversary festival sort of thing going on as well. I don't fully understand it, but they've got like a big old Get Wild 35th anniversary website and a bunch of celebration of their music and lots of music videos and interviews and stuff. I don't totally get it, but I guess they've done quite a lot of Get Wild in the last 35 years.
I mean, that song has lasting power.
Yeah, you know, actually, now that you've brought that up, just last night I found what seemed to be some video from whatever this event was, and it was just a compilation of a bunch of different concerts by TM Network, and every time they have performed this song, it is wildly different, each and every single time.
Well, I think that's the good part about a group like that they can perform it as many times as they have and keep it fresh and new each time. And yet still, it's recognizable as the song you came to know and love.
Right, exactly.
But on top of it being the 35th anniversary, we got another thing that we didn't expect coming down the pipeline, the announcement of a new City Hunter movie.
So they just announced that kind of sandwiched in between the 6th and the 8th. Bam, right there on the 7th. There's a trailer that came out from Aniplex. Aniplex did also release the previous film,
Shinjuku Private Eyes.
Shinjuku Private Eyes, right. That was in 2019.
Right.
And that actually got localized with a dub and everything here in North America, which was really, really cool. You can only hope that that is going to happen again with this movie. It's just a teaser, though. Like, it's not a full trailer. It's just, like, Ryo is standing on top of a building.
He's got his 357 pointing at the camera.
He points it at the camera, and Get Wild is playing. And they're like, you remember Get Wild? We still play Get Wild. It's the 35th anniversary. Here's Get Wild. Also, here's Ryo. Like, that's it.
Like, were you guys not gonna play Get Wild? Like, you better.
Yeah.
Like, even the French movie knew to play Get Wild at the very end. The live-action French film.
And then it also transitions into their French version of Nicky Larson, Nicky Larson.
Which I'm learning to appreciate a little bit more each time I look into that.
That's true. We will eventually discuss that in greater detail when the time comes.
That's gonna be a real long episode.
It is going to be very long. Maybe even as long as this one, because this one seems like it's gonna be...
Maybe.
Kinda long, because we have spent the last 5 minutes talking about things that are not the episode that we're talking about.
The cool thing is that the teaser says that it's coming out sometime this year.
That's
this new
true.
City Hunter movie. I didn't think it would be that soon.
Yeah, that's a really quick announcement to be like, bam, we're telling you we're making this. Also, it's coming out this year. Oh, just rapid fire this information
So
at
within
me.
the next 8 months,
Yeah.
which means they must have been working on it probably since the last one came out.
Entirely possible, yeah. So they have had this planned that, oh, City Hunter is back, and we're just just gonna keep giving you more City Hunter in movie format.
Let's be real with you guys, those of you who are listening here. We started this podcast under the premise that we had caught up with all the City Hunter that was out there. We did not assume that there would be more City Hunter.
No, but realize, though, we have not watched all of Angel Heart.
No, we
have
haven't.
not watched all of that Korean series, or what is it, a Taiwanese or Chinese? I'm not sure.
I think it was Chinese.
Yeah, somewhere else in Asia drama. Okay, now we did watch a bunch of other weird spin-off movies. There's still one movie we haven't watched.
Which one?
That one with a weird name that's not called City Hunter, but it's that weird Chinese one.
I thought that's the one you were... Wait, so there's another Chinese series aside from that one?
No, a movie!
Wait, so there's a movie and a Chinese series?
Yes.
Oh my god.
No, I
thought they were the same thing.
No, I showed you this movie like a couple of weeks ago, right? But like
it was longer than a couple of weeks ago.
We didn't sit and watch the whole thing.
No, we didn't.
I was just like, here, this is the thing that I was looking for, and I couldn't find it like timed correctly or with the subtitles or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I found it. No, that's different from the TV series. That's a totally different thing.
Like, you are hearing me in real time realizing we've got more to cover than what I thought.
Oh no, we're gonna be doing this for like 5 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long time.
My god. So yeah, we're looking forward to that new movie and I guess getting through all of these other language series.
Yeah, years of City Hunter. Can't wait for Angel Heart, though. Oh, live action Angel Heart, too. Oh my god, the anime and the live action
See, I knew that one we were going to cover both of those.
Okay.
I knew that. I was ready for that.
I had forgotten that Angel Heart existed in live action, and that's aside from the manga. Oh man, are we ever going to talk about all those other spin-off mangas, like the Isekai?
I would spend at least an episode on the Isekai.
Okay, and then the one where it's nothing but
Umibozu
running the cafe.
Yeah, that one's fine as well.
Okay, great. Fantastic. I can't wait for those.
We're set for the next several years, so buckle up, people.
We are not even done with year 1.
We're getting halfway there.
Whoa, living on a prayer.
So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. So we start off at a church, and there is a wedding that Kaori and Ryo happen to be not attending. It doesn't look like they know who's getting married.
You think they crashed this wedding?
To me, it looked like they crashed the wedding.
Wait, were they outside?
They're outside, like,
right?
The wedding has already happened. The reception hasn't quite started, but it's the whole thing of, you see it in a lot of movies and TV shows. Then, the couple's coming out, everybody's throwing the rice, everybody's happy. They're doing the bouquet toss, which usually comes toward the end of everything.
So wait, hold on. So, because right after that, Kaori jumps in and she's like, oh my god, the women have to catch the bouquet. And if a woman catches the bouquet, she's supposed to be next to get married, which I think, interesting, they've adopted this extremely Western idea of catching the bouquet. That's great. Okay, cool. And Ryo's just like, oh, fine, go for it. I don't care. So Kaori has crashed this bouquet catching for somebody that she doesn't know.
Yeah, because they never mention whose wedding it is. They just happened to be at one.
Like that's a really shitty thing to do. I'm just saying. I'm gonna catch the flowers at a wedding of just some person. And they're just like, oh, congratulations, you...
Like, this isn't Wedding Crashers. We are too far removed from Wedding Crashers happening for that to be a thing. This makes Kaori look surprisingly desperate?
I guess so. So the ironic thing is that Ryo is just sitting really far back. He's really not trying to participate at all. In fact, he's just sitting on the ground.
Right.
Like, this is not entertaining to him in any way, shape, or form. And yet, the bouquet flies over every woman outside and lands in his lap.
And he's kind of flaunting it to Kaori, like, oh, looks like I got it. Looks like I'm gonna get me a new bride real soon. Which is actually what happens.
They're driving away in Kaori's car.
In the Fiat, in the Panda.
Which apparently has a sunroof.
Yeah, well, I didn't notice that before. Did they get a new Fiat?
I don't know. Did it always have a sunroof?
It didn't have it before.
I don't think it always had a sunroof. This one had a sunroof,
Okay,
though.
so it's one of two things. Either, at some point within the last several episodes, they replaced the Fiat with one that had a sunroof, or option 2, the animators just weren't paying attention and weren't keeping consistent.
I'm pretty sure it's just that, but, it's fun to pretend. So anyway, a bride falls straight through the sunroof.
Yeah, so they're at the stoplight, right? And another bride, not the one from the wedding they just crashed, a completely different bride, all right?
A woman wearing a wedding dress
falls out of a tree and into Ryo's lap, and she's like, step on it! They're after me! And there's a bunch of guys shooting.
Who who's after you? The Libyans! Okay, it's not Libyans.
No, Back to the Future, that was several years before. I mean, Back to the Future 2...
it was 2 years before.
Yeah, so Back to the Future 2 would have come out like a year later, so yeah, it's fine. It could have been a Back to the Future reference.
It's not a Back to the Future reference.
It's not. She's just there in the car.
It's not Libyans, okay?
It's Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride doesn't happen until the 90s.
Well, neither did Wedding Crashers was early 2000. You know what? We're really getting off topic here. Point being, somebody's getting shot at, and Rio needs to shoot back.
Yeah, they shoot straight through that panda. That glass is destroyed.
And Rio's kind of holding out, like, okay, I'll help you out if you marry me, you know, since you happen to have the dress and all. And she's like, what, are you kidding? No. But more gunfire happens, and she's like, all right, fine, I'll marry you. At which point, Rio, you know, busts a cap in everybody. He causes the other car to crash. Didn't kill anybody, though.
So he didn't really bust a cap in people, just the car.
Well, at least the driver's side front wheel.
The pursuing vehicle.
Yes, but there were caps busted, just not in any asses.
Hubcaps.
Hubcaps. He busted a hubcap.
He busted a hubcap.
Nice.
Thank you.
So Rio comments, well, you're really lucky to have found me to help you out of all people. And she's like, well, who are you? Oh, I happen to be City Hunter. And she thinks about it for a second. She's like, City Hunter? You mean the pervert?
I'm so glad his reputation precedes him now. That everybody just knows, oh, not that guy.
Oh, not City. Oh, the lecherous guy?
The guy who just runs around screaming about boners all the time? This guy who just won't stop shouting nookie into the air? What? Are you kidding me?
Captain Rio.
This guy.
Captain Rio of the Boner Squad.
That is a very deep and old inside joke.
That's a deep cut for us.
No one will ever understand, and we're not going to explain it. I'm sorry.
You'll have to ask us in person.
Yeah.
So we found out that our runaway bride is a woman by the name of Kazue Natori, immunologist. So her whole thing is working on viruses, antidotes, and antitoxins of different varieties, apparently for military use. So clearly Kazue needs some protection, so they're holding up in Ryo's apartment, and Ryo has been kicked out of his own room.
And he can't stand that, so, of course, in the middle of the night, while she's sleeping, Rio goes in and sneaks into this lady's room. I mean, it's his room, but it's while she's asleep, trying to get some, I guess.
Yeah, he's like there like, oh, it's our first night together and you said you're gonna marry me.
And instead, what he finds, while he's looking at her boobs, of course, but it is very plot relevant, what is between her boobs is she's just holding a vial of bees!
Well, you don't see the bees immediately. Rio didn't see him, and to his credit, it was dark.
Okay, yes, but once you realize this woman was keeping bees in her breasts.
Between her breast, not it. Like she didn't open up a breast and then put the bees in there and close the breast.
She's the Guyver. She has a chest cannon full of bees.
A mega smasher full of bees.
I'm sorry.
That is so specific to me.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
No, it's between the left boob and the right boob.
Yeah.
She's holding a glass vial full of killer bees that have been genetically engineered through science to very, very murder you.
And Rio, not knowing any better, opens this vial, and one gets him right on the nose.
So what I thought was really funny was that this is obviously way too early for this in animation history, but because his nose is all big and swollen, his face is now drawn in such a way that makes him look like Jackie Chan of the Jackie Chan Adventures specifically.
Which I thought was really funny because in actuality, Jackie Chan ends up being the first person to play Rio in the City Hunter movie. Funny enough, it was his birthday this week too.
Yes.
On the 7th.
Also on the 7th, the same day as that trailer drop.
It's all connected. Ooh. So at first, Rio's like, oh man, that sucks. I got stung on the nose. And Cowdy comes running in with a hammer, and Rio's telling her, no, don't worry about it. I already got hit on the nose.
I've already been punished. It's okay. I got what was coming to me.
And Kazue wakes up and is like, wait. Were those bees from my vial? And Rio's like, yeah, so. And
don't worry, it's just bees.
And she's like, no, you're gonna die. Like, hella die.
And then further explains, all right, look, I got these bees. They're terrible bees. They've been genetically engineered. Did she explain at this moment how she got the bees? She explains that later.
Yeah, she explains that later.
I'll wait on that.
The fortunate thing is that she does, in fact, have the antidote on her on, like, a thigh garter, which is a weird place to keep it, but, whatever.
It was also a weird place to keep the bees, too, to be quite honest.
I mean, fair. But she goes ahead and administers the antidote that she does have to Rio.
But she's kind of like, oh, but don't you want to know about the side effects? Oh, wait, what if I tell you about the side effects? You might not want it. And they're just like, if I'm gonna die, just give it to me. Okay, here you go.
Here you go. So they administer the antidote to Rio, and everything seems fine for the moment until the next morning.
So, okay, this is what we were warning you guys about at the end of last week's episode.
Right.
Thankfully, this segment where this uncomfortable part happens is not nearly as long as I remembered it being the first time. So Rio is now just kind of stereotypically flamboyant.
Yes, his manner of speech has changed, so his voice pitch has been lifted. He's like, oh, how's everybody doing? You know, kind of affecting a voice there.
He's walking around with his arms kind of up by his chest in a very feminine way.
Very limp-wristed.
He's,
sashaying.
He's walking around with a twist in his hips and his feet kind of kicking up a little bit behind him. So initially he's going into Lady Ma'am's room.
Yeah, he goes into Kazue's room while she's changing.
Which is usually pretty normal for him. Except this time, he's not, like, super excited about it. He just sees she's so thin and then starts acting a little jealous of her.
Like, oh my god, you're so skinny. I have to work out on my waist.
Oh no, don't look at me. I'm so embarrassed. And I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, so it's very stereotypical for the time period, unfortunately. Very stereotypical kind of behavior that Rio's exhibiting as a side effect of this antidote that he was given. Now,
they don't straight up say like, oh no, the bee's antidote turned him gay.
No, but it did make him effeminate.
It made him effeminate. He kind of didn't care about pursuing anybody physically for quite a long time.
And the unfortunate part about that is that it's there in the first place, so we're not hiding that.
Right. Later on, after that incident in the bedroom, then he starts going into like knitting, and Kaori walks in on him knitting, and she's kind of making fun of him for that. And he's like, I don't want to be doing this. My body just tells me I need to be doing this. What, knitting? You need to be knitting. Okay, man. All right.
Now, during this time, Kazue has given a shopping list to Kaori to develop a better antidote that will work better for Rio and not have these side effects. So she's out getting boxes of supplies and things like that, and you see a box labeled Zoni.
Zoni instead of Sony, yeah.
I love it when they do the fake brand names.
Right. I wish there was another sunrise.
There's always another sunrise.
Always another, just not this episode.
Just not this episode. So Kazue getting to work on this new antidote explains, okay, so here's the 411. There's this group, Yotagawa Industries Biochem. They were working on weaponized bees that happen to look like wasps.
They
Don't know why.
They look a lot like wasps. Like I said, we paused this episode, and I said, you know, she says that they're bees, but these look an awful lot like wasps to me. Like, they look like yellow jackets.
They do. And admittedly, I'm scared to death of yellow jackets.
I've been stung by one once.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It hurt a lot, but thankfully I didn't see it coming, and it only stung the one time, and then we cleaned it, and then I was fine.
Well, yeah, these are genetically enhanced bees that have been developed specifically for having toxic venom.
I would not want to be stung by that. That sounds like it would kill me.
So that's the first part, is that this group has developed these killer bees with horrible toxic venom.
So what this lady has done...
Yeah, like, this is something right here.
What this lady has decided was, in fact, these bees were actually developed by her fiancé, and then...
Who was working for this group.
And then this group has decided we're gonna do some horrible evil shit with the bees, and the lady ma'am is like, well, I'm not gonna let that happen, and I'm not
gonna... Well, no, the fiancé. The fiancé was like, I'm not gonna let that happen, and so they offed him.
Right, so they kill him, and she goes, well, I'm going to double make sure that nothing happens with these bees, and that nothing terrible happens to the legacy of my fiancé. So she goes deep undercover.
Super deep, like...
And decides, I'm going to get engaged to the son of the guy who runs this group, this organization, just to get bees.
Just to get rid of the bees. She will pretend that she's interested in him, going so far as to get engaged, just so that the wedding can be held at their mansion where the bees are being kept.
So that she could take a vial of bees!
And develop a better antidote.
And develop an antidote. But I don't think she really had a plan for, like, destroying all of the bees yet.
No, she was just gonna go in there, and the problem was, on the day that she was supposed to get married, she got caught trying to get the bees, ran away, and that's how she bumped into Rio and Coyote. That's a lot.
I need you to understand how ludicrous the entire plot is. The fact that this plot is even about bees in the first place. This is ridiculous. This is one of the most ridiculous plots I think we've come upon up until this point.
I mean, it's pretty high up there. So the guys from earlier bust into Ryo's apartment again, trying to kidnap Kazue. Ryo chases him off with a bazooka. He really likes the bazooka this week.
Yeah, you know, like, he's getting slightly less and less effeminate as time goes on, but he really, really likes that bazooka. Well,
right here, when he chases them off, he refers to himself as Lady Hunter instead of City Hunter. Now, admittedly, right here, when he refers to himself as Lady Hunter, that's about as effeminate as he remains for the rest of the episode. The rest of the time, he's just kind of a little more serious than he normally would be.
Well, that's because by that point, our lady ma'am has developed the other antidote that's supposed to be better than the first one.
So right after the commercial break, it starts with her saying, "I have perfected the antidote."
So he gets the antidote, and he's not so much effeminate, but at this point, he doesn't feel the mokkori, it seems. He just doesn't, want to pursue anybody physically.
Like, he's not hurting for not having it or feels like he's not himself. He's just not thinking about it.
Right, which might be the most effective he's ever been and the least harassing he has ever been.
And this is evidenced in the next scene where he takes Kazue up to the roof to have a little conversation with her while Coyote happens to be eavesdropping.
Now, one thing you were saying, though, while you were talking to me while we were watching this episode, was that we get little hints of what this might become in that French City Hunter film.
Yes.
Because the plot of that film revolves around a love potion.
Yeah.
And Ryo in that film, mind you, they call him Nicky because
Nicky Larson, because that's just what the character's called in France. Nicky Ryo, because they dubbed it back into Japanese, so he's Ryo again. Ryo's job for that movie is he has to protect a vial of this chemical, which is basically like a perfume, that if you spray it on somebody, they will instantly become attracted to the person closest to them.
It's that very
kind of love potion number 9 sort of thing.
Right.
So what happens is Ryo ends up getting sprayed with it and ends up falling for the male inspector that's right there in front of him, and he ends up obsessing over him for the rest of that live action movie, or for the better part of it.
Yeah, mind you, he's trying to shake himself out of it for the majority of the time, and he's concerned that it's gonna become permanent, but then there's also a part of him that's like, but now I don't know if I can live without him.
Yeah, like, a good chunk of that is like, well, I want to be attracted to other women. How come I only want this one guy? And yeah, as the movie progresses, they're playing it like, maybe that's not so bad. I mean,
yeah,
he's kind of cute. Like, what's going on here? Hey, you want to have dinner?
Yeah, it's actually way funnier than maybe we make it sound. Like, well, it's not played for like, haha, being gay is so funny, haha. It's more like, oh no, he's playing against his type, usually.
It's a very smart way of handling how Ryo's normal character type acts in most situations, which is one of the many compliments I give that movie, but I don't want to get too much into that.
Right.
So up here on the roof, Ryo's having this conversation saying, well, I had to talk to you alone, Kazue. Coyote kind of has a complex about me and other men, so I don't want her to get the wrong idea. And he's trying to tell Kazue, look, I understand that you're wearing that wedding dress because you're still thinking about your fiance who's passed on. You should wear a wedding dress for somebody who can still be with you right now. Be with somebody who's there for you now. And I want to see that happiness for you.
All right, I gotta go, bye. And then he leaves, and even Cowrie's like, wait, he didn't hit on her? What's wrong with him?
He encouraged her to love again, and then didn't make a move? What? And she is so confused. Mind you, I don't want to get away from this. The whole episode, Coyote is wearing the good jacket again, the City Hunter jacket. I love that
City Hunter jacket. Like, it's got CH on the back.
It's, like teal.
Probably embroidered like a Letterman's jacket.
Yeah, which I imagine is kind of the look they were going for when they were adapting the French live action version.
Right, I agree.
Because in that version, Laura/Coyote is wearing a Letterman jacket. Mm-hmm. So we get one quick scene after this of Yotagawa, the guy who owned the company that made the bees, that killed the fiance, that had Kazue turn against them, that guy and his son talking about their plans of kidnapping Kazue, and it turns out they're both pervs.
They're both kinda talking a bit rapey at the moment.
Yeah, there's no hiding that. They are very rapey. Ryo happens to be watching them and saying, oh, that's terrible of them. They shouldn't be talking like that.
Nobody should be talking like that. Almost as if to say that he has forgotten that he has ever been like that.
And so Senior Yotagawa's like, send dudes. You mean nudes? No, dudes. I need more men. And he sends them to go get Kazue from Ryo's apartment. Ryo already anticipated this, and while they're there investigating his apartment, they have taken the sewers over to
Yotagawa.
Yeah, Yotagawa's mansion to get rid of the bees.
With a bazooka? Only no. I mean, like, he carried the bazooka all the way over there. So you think, oh my god, he's going to shoot the bees with a bazooka.
No, he just blows up a car with the bazooka.
He blows up a car with the bazooka. So you think, okay, great, he's being reasonable. He's not going to blow up the bees with a bazooka. He is going to blow up the bees with C4.
And gas. Mind you, this is the second time now we've seen him full-on destroy somebody's house.
Yes, but this time, like, he really thought he was going to kill every bee in a C4 and gasoline explosion.
Now, I'll put it to you this way. If you take out bees and replace it with spiders, would you have the same response?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so look at it that way.
Nuke them from space.
Like that one, I think it was a Vine of the person who found the spiders, and it's just that, hell no, to the no. Just leave for space, I don't want to deal with it. If it was yellow jackets or wasps, I would have the same response.
Well, especially if it were even the traditional Japanese killer bees that actually...
the giant ones, right?
That actually do in fact exist and are real and live in Japan and were not genetically engineered.
The murder bees.
And actually murder people every year, like several dozen people every year or whatever.
Oh, hell no.
No, we leaving. We leaving and we firing a rocket from space.
Yeah, but here in the episode, we're not leaving and firing a rocket from space. We're actually only pushing the detonator button from around the corner.
From the next room.
Like, that's the part I don't get. They weren't far enough away from the really big explosion.
Yeah, and then the camera goes outside the house, and the whole house goes up in flames.
Yeah.
The entire building. And I'm just like, where were they? Are they okay?
I mean, I guess they were okay enough because they have one more piece of this plan. So they use Kazue as bait to lure Yotagawa and his son and his cronies back into the house, into the part of the house that's still standing.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense to me. There's still this one room that they still could investigate.
But they're lured into the room is sealed off, and Ryo releases the bees!
So the good news is, apparently they're just honeybees, and they just want to scare them, and, you know, maybe give them a couple of bee stings, whatever. Except, I hope, for their sake, that none of those people trapped in that room are just plain allergic to bees.
I was thinking that same thing.
Because then they will die anyway.
And then once the case has been resolved, it has been exactly 12 hours, which is apparently the amount of time it takes for Mokkori to return, and Ryo returns to his normal self.
Anyways, Mokkori powers back.
But Kazue decides, you know what, I'm gonna live my own life. I don't know how I feel about things. I probably could love again. I wanted to go to the US with my fiance, but he's dead. I'm just gonna work on me right now. So, bye.
Mind you, she says that, but she's thinking, but I'm probably gonna come back for Ryo later. It's probably gonna be Ryo. Mind you, we never see this woman ever again.
We're never gonna see her again. Ever. And Kaori is there asking, well, did she fall for Ryo, or didn't she?
And Ryo's just looking out the window like, maybe, maybe not. Ah, well.
And this is where the episode ends, you know, with the pan out freeze frame on Get Wild. I wonder sometimes, and this might be my own headcanon, does Ryo hear Get Wild in his head sometimes? Like the ending of Police Squad?
Every time the freeze frame happens, he's just like in his head humming to himself. Oh man, this song is sick. I'm never gonna stop playing this in my head.
Like he's hearing it in his head every time he leaves the airport. He hears it on the roof. He hears it looking out the window because he thinks he's so cool.
That's entirely possible.
So yeah, there's the episode there. Thankfully, the uncomfortable, stereotypical characterization for the time period doesn't last very long. When that kind of characterization is revisited again, there in the Nicky Larson movie, I think it's done way better and way more tasteful.
I would agree. Even so, this could have been a lot more offensive, but also I'm not gonna just outright forgive it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're not going to forgive the show. We will admit to everything the show does.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but otherwise, aside from what is thankfully a brief amount of time being uncomfortable, this is a really cartoony episode. It's such a ludicrous plot. Josh, the plot is about bees.
It's about the bees.
This plot is about bees. A woman was hiding killer murder bees in her breasts. Josh, this was
her
the
Mega
plot.
Smasher.
This was the plot of this episode.
Yeah, so thankfully it ends up ending on a better note than you think it's going to be going into it.
Yes.
So on next week's episode, we're going to the hospital.
Oh yeah, there is sort of a Nightingale situation happening here.
I think this happens twice in the show where we're going to a hospital for those kind of reasons. So this is one of them.
He's got a broken leg or something.
I forget right off the top of my head. Is he faking it or no?
I don't recall. I partly want to say that Calorie broke his leg. I don't even remember.
I believe she could do it.
Oh, she could. Whether or not she did, I don't know, but I do think she could.
Absolutely.
So then please come back next time when we cover the 24th episode of the TV series, A Rosy Hospital Stay, targeted Angel in White.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 23rd episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna smack Josh in the face with a magazine.
What? Why?